have about 52 people with us online and I don't know, almost 20 in the Zendo. So welcome everyone to tonight's talk this last Thursday in August. Welcome in the Zendo, welcome in the cloud. Each one's presence is a gift. Last Sunday, Henry offered another installment of Original Love. The series underway is on Samadhi, the deep, clear lake. Henry started off with a fresh iteration of what Bodhidharma called practice and principle. Practice, returning to this moment, dropping the running commentary, letting go whatever dulls or filters our experience. As Henry put it, whatever keeps our experience from being as rich and appreciated as it might be. And then he spoke of principle, the fact that what we come to realize with deepening practice, what we come to open to, has always been here, already so. So, what is already here? What is this? What is now? Yesterday, many of you probably know, marked the 6-month anniversary of the invasion of Ukraine. It brought to mind a story that I may have told, I've shared with a few people, about one of Ruben Habito Roshi's talks. The invasion, February 24th, 2022, it wasn't unexpected, but it was still so horrifying. And not long thereafter, the war was raging. We were watching the news. And Scott and I had dinner with Ruben and Maria. I knew Ruben had led a Zazenkai the day before. We had also had one at Mountain Cloud. And I wondered, how he had brought Zen to bear on this broken world. What did you talk about? I was genuinely curious, but somehow the question was just a bit loaded. What did you talk about? Ruben's answer was completely without guile. Amazement, he said. He played that day a short video. There are many, many versions of it I've learned on YouTube, but this is called The Power of 10. I think its inception was a pretty famous film in the early 70s, and now there are these short forms of it, quite compelling. So he played this 9-minute version and then spoke to it, sort of locating us in the marvel of this infinitely dynamic world that the video displayed. That particular one he played starts out with this very powerful camera focused in on a plaza in Venice. And there's a troupe of acrobats with sort of what looked to me like hula hoops, and they're doing a little performance, a few people gathered around, And then the camera starts to pan out at powers of 10. So you see the plaza, you see all of Venice, you see Italy and the ocean, you see, the et cetera, you get out farther and farther, and finally it switches to light years, powers of 10. And, all the way out to the edge of any possibility of an image. And then it comes back. And the acrobats are sort of, done and going their separate ways. And the camera pans in on a drop of water on a leaf in the plaza and goes by powers of 10 all the way in. Such a wide lens and nothing excluded. There's all this movement, but no sense of near or far, inside or outside. And the tiniest bit contains all of it. I shared this with a student who likened that movement of the camera to breathing, How wonderful. Breathing in, breathing out, the whole universe, this vast empty firmament, breathing each one of us. This body, your whole body. A couple of days ago, another student shared something that resonates with this. The student called it endless depth of field. And I'm sharing this with permission, with glad permission. The student wrote, "I'm a photographer, amongst other things. I'm experiencing endless depth of field." I just read that. I'm a photographer amongst other things, or I'm a photographer amongst other things. I'm experiencing endless depth of field. When I look up, I see the subject before me, but also the scrolling everything of the rest of the world. The London landscape rattling by on the tube, and in the foreground, a huddle of humans looking at phones and newspapers and the inside of their palms as they cradle their heads and shade their eyes against the fluorescence. Beyond that, the sun dipping and yawning, and the softening light dropping away. All together in one field of vision. Sitting around the table, my family and friends eating, but beyond the bees and the flies and the daddy longlegs drifting in the haze of light, defined by the crab and the lavender and the rose and the blackthorn. Further and over the field, the livestock cawing and cowing and mooing, dropping their heads to chew. Across the lowering purple, a hot air balloon flows past, and a gush of gas lifts the canopy a little higher. All this, all one, all present in an existing plane of perception in which nothing is alien. The Buddha said we look at the world as if looking through a long tube of bamboo, this narrow pipe, so enclosed and calculable. But what if the depth of field is endless? in fact, what if there's no lens? Wherever you turn, whatever you face, clear mirror, no edge, no dimension, nothing to hinder anything and everything included. So I'd like to turn to a koan that presents this world, that really breaks it open. And in that breaking, arrives at already so. Already whole. This is case 26 in the Gateless Gate or Mumonkan. 2 monks roll up the blinds. Just a quick word. It's kind of fearful and wonderful to wait until a koan surfaces. This is what I've been doing for quite a while somehow, and rather than taking up a collection and just turning the page. This one surfaced, I think, because Yamada Kon Roshi had a deep affinity for it, not only Hogen, but this particular case. Also, because the crack it opens, the koan's, that turning word or fulcrum, it just sets loose the fissure we imagine and then shore up in our sense of lack or flaw or insufficiency. I've been hearing about this a lot lately. The sort of primal or primary delusion that our judgments are true and binding. The koans know this isn't so. Here's the case. 2 monks roll up the blinds. A monk once went to Daihogen of Seiryo before the midday meal to ask for instruction. Hogen pointed to the bamboo blinds with his hand. At that moment, 2 monks who were there went over to the blinds and rolled them up in the same manner. Hogen said, "One has gained, one has lost." So Hogen, this great master Fayan, 9th century to 10th century. His name means great Dharma eye or eye of the Dharma. One of the 5 schools of Zen is named for him. Yamada Kon felt closest of these 5, actually of all the masters he wrote, to Hogen. Here's a little bit of Kon Roshi's description. How can we describe the special character of the Hogen school of Zen? It leaves no traces of hesitation in its path. Extreme clarity in presenting the matter of oneness. That's his view of this school. And he goes on, Hogen was not a master of words, for example, like Unman or Yunmen, nor one to make generous use of his stick in urging students on. Although he appears very simple and plain, he hides a prodigious depth. Konroshi loved Hogen's simplicity and clarity, kindred to him. And at the same time, he said he had the feeling that if he were there with Hogen, he would learn. I'd learn something. I think I've mentioned that students who studied with Yamada Konroshi said sitting with him was like sitting with a mountain of compassion. This mountain still sitting. No one there. And yet, the outpouring of the Dharma, this boundless heart. Hogen's awakening story has been made fairly famous because of this koan that captures it. Another one in the book of Equanimity. It's a lovely pointer, just a reminder. Hogen is a monk with a few other monks is on pilgrimage, this Angya, this practice that was traditional to go around from master to master and clarify your insight, your understanding, your experience. So Hogen shows up at this little monastery of Chiso's, Master Chiso. And Chiso meets him and says, what are you doing? I'm on pilgrimage, which sort of wandering in the directions that my toes are pointing. And Chiso said, well, what is pilgrimage? And Hogen is very, very honest. I don't know. But there's still that trace of a matrix that I don't know. And then Chiso just comes right back, turns it. Not knowing is most intimate. It's like saying, that's it. I don't know. That's it. Just as you are. That's it. Hogen just, he falls away. And this whole boundless world comes rushing in. The record says he was awakened. But he didn't stop there. He kept pursuing this. There's more to the story, but he ends up staying with Chiso. The record says for a month or two. And every day they're, meeting face to face. And really, Hogen is trying to convey this world, to see it clearly and present it. And every time, whatever he says, with, all of his sort of everything summoned there to try to say this, Chiso just said, the Buddha Dharma isn't like that. It reminds me of Echo with Bodhidharma. For 8 years, Echo would say, using a lot of the language that you're hearing, but conceptually, oh, it's just standing up, sitting down, laughing, crying. It's this. And Bodhidharma wouldn't correct him. He'd just say, it's not like that. Or wrong, perhaps. Finally, Hogen says to Jizo, I've run out of words and ideas. And to that, Jizo says, I mean, really run out. If you want to talk about Buddha Dharma, everything you see embodies it. At these words, the record says, Hogen experiences great enlightenment. Everything you see. That's it. One day before the midday meal, a monk comes to Hogen's room to ask for instruction. Hogen points to the bamboo blinds with his hand. Maybe like this. This. He just points. Some years ago, I was in the Zen Center, Philippines. Wonderful opportunity. And there on their wall, they had a photograph, not in the Zendo, but just in one of the rooms. It was a really nice old house that unfortunately has been flooded now a number of times. But there was this, on the second floor, a framed photograph of Yamada Konroshi. I'd never seen it before. Of all the, I couldn't believe it. I'd never seen it. And in it, he's just pointing. And it's like his finger is just coming out of that picture, that image. And it's larger than life. Just Hogen points. Could that be the instruction? I mean, the Dharma? Show me the mind of Hogen. What is that pointing? So there are two monks there who are attending Hogen in his room, and they take his gesture as an ordinary direction. Sort of like when monks are asked, where do you come from? And they just say, well, I was here, and before that I was there. And they go on a sort of tour of geography. That's not the question. So two monks go over to the blinds. Blinds should be open for teaching, open them. They rolled them up, the case says, in the same manner. For us, maybe they did this. For them, maybe that. Exactly the same manner. Seeing this, Hogen says, one has gained, one has lost. Imagine that moment. The monks. Imagine yourself. What did I do? Did I do something wrong? Gain, loss, good, bad? That, it's such fertile doubt he raises with this one expression. we're all the time doubting. By what measure? One of the recorded sayings of Hogen reads, "Not a single patch of earth is true. No ground to stand on. One has gained. One has lost. Which one?" What if there is only one? Gain. That's it. Loss. Loss. That's it. Use these words: empty, complete, nothing outside it. Pointing, rolling up, laughing, crying, standing, sitting, flowers on the altar. Thank you, Margie. Sitting together. Thank you, everyone. One has gained, one has lost. Just one. Where would you draw the line? Many years ago, it seems, I was studying the koans with Ruben Habito, my root teacher. And I was going through them for the first time. It was a really wonderful, generous period in my practice when I could arrange my schedule and go to many sessions each year. I mean, like 6 or 7 a year. And I followed Ruben once to a session he was leading in upstate New York. It was this historic old home that was sort of perched on the edge of a nature preserve. And for this occasion, the owners had turned the main room in the house into a zendo. That room had a wall of windows, long and narrow, and looking out onto this amazing preserve. And there was just enough wood paneling coming up that you could sit, with these windows, but facing the wall. Sitting was really, I don't know, it was a session. It was deep, it's still. And with Ruben's guidance, I was just sort of, flowing through the koans. So free, such a joy. And then came case 26, this case. I could readily answer Ruben's first question. But then came the heart of the matter. One has gained, one has lost. I hesitated, blessedly stuck. And Ruben right away just said, "Go and sit with it." Ding, ding, ding. Obviously, every taste of this world, every experience, we say, kind of odd because that's what we're having right now, this experience. We don't even have it, we just are it right now. But every one of these Zen experiences is different. There's just no prescription. Sometimes Zen likens this sort of free fall, falling away, utterly unexpected, to a thief in the night, like stealing away our concepts. So I hope that this is not there's always this moment where you think, is this helpful? And I just wanted to share a word from my own experience that might at very best, just illumine a bit what's right here. What Bodhidharma called principle. Already so, now, always coming up now and completely new. You don't need to hear anything to taste that. Go and sit, said Reuben. I walked back to the zendo, just transfixed by doubt, really not knowing. But in this very helpful way that koans and session can be, there wasn't a discursive not knowing. Just, and when my seat hit the cushion, I just happened to look up and out those plate glass windows, just for a moment. I've been looking, and I saw the universe collapse, actually twice. Such a mystery, like already so. One has gained, one has lost. Suddenly just fell on me. Absolutely no explanation, just this empty, infinite fact. So I, quietly left this window, went to my room and wept. Sort of, this came up today, and how to describe it, it was like tears of gratitude, just this inexhaustible gratitude, unconditional gratitude. For what? After a bit, I went downstairs and lunch was underway. The color and texture of the food, the palpable care of those who had prepared it, the gesture of washing a plate, and after lunch, a shower. The first time ever to feel water. Wander into the center of the circle of wonder, Master Wanshi said. But there is nowhere to go. It's right here. I know many people in the wonderful, beautiful community are not religious or not in any specific way, but in that moment, there was a word that surprised me. It just came up: baptism. With no doctrinal frame. This this. So meeting with Ruben again, after lunch, more tears than words. We had a heartfelt exchange, but the phrase that just came forth and stays with me now is, you've been judging yourself your whole life. What a relief to cease that. Judging self, judging others. It's the same. To cease that. And then to see beyond the edge of the bamboo. To see the sufficiency of this moment. I love Henry and the sutras use this word, the intrinsic wholeness of what you are, the absolute capacity that makes each thing what it is, that makes anything at all. So just briefly, there is another way to meet this koan. This one has gained, one has lost. Beyond any meaning, just that sound. One has gained, one has lost. One has gained, one has lost. It's Hogen showing himself. That phrase we hear from time to time, Shakyamuni Buddha is still practicing. It's this. One has gained, one has lost. Kalroshi wrote, Hogen did not move his lips or tongue a bit when he said these words, but was manifesting his entire body perfectly. This whole body. A monk asked, what was the style of the ancient Buddhas? Hogen said, where can it not be seen? A monk asked, what is the ultimate teaching of all Buddhas? Hogen said, you have it too. The ultimate teaching. Breathing in, breathing out. Right here where we sit. Thank you all. Thank you for this shared practice.